Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Market Movers, where we do some live analysis for day trading, take a look at potential hotspots in the markets for the day. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. Not a lot for us to be talking about this morning. Uh, we did have a couple of economic numbers that came out this morning. We had the durable goods in the US, and the numbers were not pretty. If you look at the core durable goods number, was expected to be slightly positive, actually came in slightly negative. If you look at the overall number, we were expecting a little bit of a pullback, but we got a much larger pullback. I'll drop a link in there for everyone in a second. You can take a look at the numbers. Brian's going to run through them. We also had the initial jobless claims this morning. That number actually came in better than expected. So yeah, we're going to make jokes about that quote tight labor market quote. No, people are finding their way back to work. So slightly conflicting numbers, but the market's pretty much shrugged everything off. The equities are slightly in the green. Nothing's really moving at all in the Forex space. And on the commodity side, yeah, we've got oil drifting higher, of course. And then there was an odd move right before the number, gold, and then even a similar one in silver, where we just saw a spike and then a quick retracement, and then the number came out and nothing. Looks like someone was, in theory, trying to pre-position before the numbers came out, looking for a move, and yeah, that was an odd one. Before we jump into the actual charts and start taking a look at some technical levels, maybe running through any other headlines that might be out there, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone. That any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. Yeah, and if you wanted to take a look at what I was talking about, here's on a 15-minute chart. You can see the half hour before the numbers came out, there was a roughly a little over a $10 spike, actually almost a $15 spike in gold, immediately to retrace, and when the number came out, absolutely nothing. An odd one. Not sure what someone was thinking there, but let's here, Brian. I'm going to flip it over to you. Let's take a peek at a couple. Oil, I think, equities might be interesting. Take a look at some technical
Yeah.
levels there, but there's really nothing. No headline moving news, and other than those numbers, there's not much else really going on.
I mean, everything looks like a Monday. There is actually one headline moving, piece in there. That's the only, literally the only thing that is moving. Currencies across the board are flat, minus any of the yen-based pairs.
Hmm.
For those of you that didn't see, North Korea shot some missiles yesterday. They shot them into the Japanese Sea. That's where they landed. They're ICBMs. They are technically in violation of kind of agreements that were made. If you guys remember back 2018, Trump had brokered kind of a deal. They blew up one of their nuclear plants because of it. And then in 2020, whatever happened, basically he said, okay, it's no longer a valid agreement anymore. And they went back to it. So uh, the data that we have thus far, not great. This is actually one of the ones that can hit anything in the United States. So again, they had halted for 2 years and then restarted. And again, not necessarily great for Japan. Not that Japan would probably be the target. They don't need, 16,000-mile range missiles to hit Japan. It's close enough. But again, when you have missiles landing in the sea around your country, not really the best. So that's causing some turmoil. Obviously, in all the yen-based pairs, it is obviously considered weak. Dollar yen is up, pound yen is up again. 126 we saw yesterday, profit taking in. But besides that, and it's not like it's pound strength. Pound dollar absolutely flat at zero. Euro pound -7 in 24 hours. So it's not individual country strength; it's yen weakness, which is dominating that. And we'll see as headlines kind of further further break down. So that's one of them. Another one is this one here. And again, no direct impact to the markets today, but this is something that we're probably going to see a little bit more of. There was comments, I guess, the U.S. is, we're getting harder on Russia. They said we have new sanctions. We sanctioned a 24-year-old girl whose dad works for Putin. So, Chelsea Clinton, watch out. You could be next. 24-year-old had her own company, was successful in the media sector, and Yeah, she's our new sanctioned person. So yeah, get tough on Russia. But anyway, India has basically said that we will do currency swaps with Russia to bypass U.S. sanctions. Again, it's not like the ruble and rupee market are big, but there's a heck of a lot of people in India, and they've basically said, yeah, we'll do currency swaps, switch it back and forth, which kind of goes around. So it makes you kind of think like, hey, there's another one, another big nation out there with a whole heck of a lot of people that is allowing trade to go through. So just something to think about, food for thought. Again, no immediate response today from it. It's not something that's necessarily going to affect the U.S. market, but again, it is another local trade partner that they can, again, bypass sanctions is a word that we're hearing a lot of. Again, I'm sure the crypto folks are happy that, like, yes, real currencies are doing it with. It's not just us. The rest of the day, Waller's speaking later today. We'll see what Waller has to say at 9:10. Right before it is about the housing market, so not necessarily something that should really move the markets much. The durable goods orders and cores came in twice as bad as what they were expected to be. They were expected to be less than before, but not nearly this bad. And then the unemployment claims. Remember, this is first time unemployment claims. So again, people not getting kind of let go of things, not necessarily going back to work, but this is a first time claim. With that, the only other big thing is, again, we mentioned it yesterday, so it's kind of hitting it again. But now NATO, who obviously listens to our sessions, now they're preparing for the risk of nuclear incidents. They've mentioned it. They're basically saying, hey, the G7 is like, you shouldn't use nuclear weapons; those are bad. Yes, we all know that. But that was their statement. But again, looking at the hottest ones, it's the first. Looking for the biggest news and the hottest news according to Forex Factory. It's one about nuclear weapons, one about German output prices. Inflation is at a record high. Again, something needs to be done. Think about Switch, and then we have what? North Korea firing missiles. So we have two different types of missiles being fired in the top five news. And again, India and Russia are swapping to bypass U.S. sanctions to go around us. So that's kind of it on the news front. Looking at kind of what's happening in the market, I mean, the VIX basically is flatlined. I mean, it's down. It says that it's down 0.47% right now, but it's really kind of inside right now, smack dead in the middle of what yesterday's day looked like. We had a push down, push up, and we're kind of sitting right in the middle. Now, again, volatility and fear from the U.S. market really hasn't gotten factored into the number yet. Now that there are talks, again, if CNBC starts talking about, yeah, how about those ICBMs, that will probably raise this a little bit today. But right now, with it being down 0.5%, it's showing, pretty nice, all indices are in the green.
Yep.
Dixie's kind of at a high point, which kind of makes sense. I mean, we know we're going to raise interest rates. Some of the data today was, yeah, hey, listen, people are not getting laid off. We're not producing, goods yet, but people are not getting laid off, so they're getting paid. So overall, this is, I would say it's more of a positive than a negative, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do have a pullback early morning. All the indices are kind of in the same area. They're all right around that 50%. As you can see here, this is the 30-minute. We're kind of smack dead in the middle. We had that one little Harry Potter trade yesterday we talked about, a break of that 50% level. It hit it once and then broke through and came back and pulled and did what it was supposed to do. But now we're right back there. So market's not really sure what to do with it. If anything, I would say that there is a little bit of basing. Oops. There's a little bit of basing right here. That again, could that be the springboard higher? It could be, especially with the VIX a little bit lower. But like I said, all of a sudden people start hearing about again, they'll combine news stories, nuclear weapons, and holy crap, there's an ICBM that was fired. Do they have nukes? What? I mean, it's those type of questions. So that's never great for the markets. But overall, again, people going back is good. Durable goods is not great, but it may just be because we're sitting on a surplus, which would not be a horrible thing. NQ is the same thing. It literally is. Now we're just chopping back and forth. This one got really, really close. We talked about a 50% level at 14,432 yesterday. It hit it, and again, use that same springboard of a hit. And again, similar pattern to the Harry Potter pattern, right? We put a low in, we go up, we base, we come back, we use that same level and take off. But if you look at our move from yesterday, we go really kind of high to low. You can see we're just bouncing off the 50%, kind of going sideways in this kind of channel between the 50 and the 23.6. So right now, I'd say, if we drive up a little bit more to that 50, there will be people that are not going to look at this Globex numbers and just basically say, okay, what were the in-market hours? Okay, great. From there to there, lovely. Draw the fib with that and ignore everything here. They'll be looking for shorts at the open as well. And again, remember, they're technically sellers here. It's turn them around. And
Yeah.
people that are looking at the Globex highs are going to say, hey, wait a second. If we break above 14,569, go long because that's breaking the Globex high. That's a bullish trade. But there are some sellers situated. So I would say it's kind of set up in a trap situation. To me, it looks more like NQ is looking like it wants to roll more than anything else, but we'll see in 30 minutes. YM pulled back. Whoops. We we moved this one yesterday, and we were saying, hey, listen, if we can get back up to 34, we had the same Harry Potter. You drop the base, the pullback, and it used that same level, which was also a 50% level. It is now the 50% again on the opposite side from the rally up, low high to high low. There are some sellers here. I would say this one is kind of just like, wait, what are we doing today? And again, durable good orders is in the wheelhouse of the Dow. So again, if anything rolls fast, the Dow currently right now is the
Yep.
weakest. I would say there has been 3 pushes into this area already. If we start to roll into there again, I wouldn't be surprised if we come all the way back down and get back into this 34,200 level. Russell is kind of, again, bouncing between levels that we saw in the past. And again, it hit this area. It did the same thing that we saw in the NQ where it formed the base, came up and tested it and went higher. I wouldn't say that this one is kind of a screamer right now. If you, I mean, I guess we could really take, let's see, go high to low here. Yeah, you can see that there's not much there. If we go from kind of the most recent trend, you can see that it is also bouncing off the 50, right? Again, these are Globex numbers. Not everybody even looks at those. Some day traders will only look at in-session market hours and kind of just ignore the rest of it. If they do, again, they're going to look at this and say, hey, the 50% is right there. Other traders are going to say, hey, listen, there's your Globex high number right there. If it goes above that, go long. But again, that's an easy way to set up a bull trap out to the top side. So, which also coincides with a 50% retracement level. So just
Right.
cautious with that. Oil, basically flat. We were talking about that 1313, and really since we got that peak, it's going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down. And in the European session, it was really just kind of going back and forth. Haven't really heard any news. The last real big spike that we saw was because of the rebels with the drones and the cruise missiles, which I think is just boggles my mind that rebels now have drones and cruise missiles, but they do. Um, Not really much action either way.
No.
It looks like it's going to be a tight, a tight race back and forth. You can see that kind of we're boxed in, kind of top and bottom. Yesterday's oil number, again, I missed it by point 0.3. I was kind of mad. I saw that we had the point 0.2, and I was like, you know what? Looking at the market, I'm like, it's
It's
set
gonna
up
be
for
a
a
draw.
short, actually. The 10-3-1. Um, the 10-5-1, there was a trade setup that came in about 10-12 yesterday, about 15-20 minutes before. It stopped. It did everything it was supposed to do. It actually went to its full profit target before the news actually came out. So again, that was a quick one. And I said a minus 2.8 is what I was looking at, and it came in minus 2.5. So my forecast was closer than what their forecast was. So Forex Factory needs to give me a call. But yeah,
Or you got to be trading those. You got to be trading the event contracts on the binaries.
maybe. I don't even. Yeah, I've never even looked at those. So um, never even looked at them. Don't even know which ones are there anymore. So, but oil basically flat. And again, it's kind of like, well, what's going to happen? Natural gas has had some movement, and again, you saw that there was. I just had it up here a second ago. Basically, Germany saying that it's not a problem yet. Like, there's no immediate need for an emergency gas plan. The supply is guaranteed, but the situation must be observed closely. What they mean by this is that right now, gas is being provided. A lot of it's coming from Russia, and Russia said, no, we're not cutting it off. We could if we really wanted to, if you keep pissing us off. But right now, no, it's, we are guaranteeing the supply to come through. Because again, Germany needs it, but so
Yeah.
does Russia. I mean, it's a cash cow for them. They're going to have to pay in rubles from now on, but which will be interesting. But that's the situation. So it is a little bit scary. And again, natural gas is a little bit more volatile. And now that they're talking about it being guaranteed, there's not going to be any supply disruptions. We're starting to see it pull back a little bit. And again, looking at it, I mean, there's sellers sitting here. Actually, let me just drop it down to 30. Make it a little easier. You can see we already had sellers there, and that's exactly what we were bouncing off of in the morning hours.
We
So
just need to get through. Get a little further into spring, and it'll become less of an issue too.
yeah, I mean, remember, guys, this weekend into Monday, it's supposed to be the unseasonably kind of cold coming back in that we talked about, and that was the main force for us driving higher yesterday. But each day we get closer and closer, the market's already factored it in. When it actually gets here, it should be doing the opposite. And I told you yesterday, look for areas of sellers. We had one at the top, and again, you could grab that this morning, but we have an area down here of basing. There could be a potential, kind of Harry Potter trade. There was a nice little spurt here. There are some buyers kind of sitting right here that I'd be a little cautious with, but for the most part, once we break through 511, we should be able to get back down into the really kind of 5 or like 493-ish area. Probably back down in here once we end up breaking through that level, and that's close. Gold, nothing much. I mean, as Todd mentioned, there was a quick spike up and a quick spike back down again. This was some type of larger position. That's typically when you have something in off hours. It's just a computer that is placing a trade in there, trying to get some type of position. Right now for gold, I mean, we're up a little bit. Is there any really main, driving force of this one? Yes and no. When you're talking about bypassing sanctions, and particularly with India, gold always kind of gets involved a little bit. But right now, I don't think gold really has much of a trajectory. Seeing the German inflation number, talking about how it's at record high. People say record high inflation. Oh, that's gold. So it is a kind of a natural response for it to be grinding up a little bit. But once people start talking about how we're going to handle that record inflation, that's where we see gold go down
Interest
again. So
rates go up, interest rates go higher, gold becomes less and less appealing.
yeah, so really for gold, it's really just about finding good selling opportunities in my eyes right now. There is one a little bit higher, but I don't know that we have any catalysts today that are really going to be able to drive it. Even going into tomorrow, there's not really retail sales numbers, nothing. Business climate should be good because we just had record numbers, and then again, consumer sentiment. There's not really a whole lot there right now. It's going to have to be comments about interest rates, which will bring this back down, and then again,
Yep.
silver kind of taking a pop. Again, it chopped through that level, is going higher, and it's got a couple different levels. We know we got one up top. We know we had one sitting right here. There's a little bit of a gap. So silver's got a couple things in there. Like I said, silver's a funky one because silver is kind of the I don't know, like I would say like gold, natural gas is kind of like the cheaper form of oil, right? Silver is the cheaper form of gold, right? Like for crypto realm, it was like Bitcoin was the gold, where like Litecoin,
Yeah.
was always the cheaper one that more people could play. So it's like not everybody trades Berkshire, right? But everybody trades GMC,
Well,
right? So and
silver
actually, is
does
that what
have
you mean?
it does have industrial use though.
So does gold. I mean, gold is used in a lot of electronics because of its conductivity. So
Yeah.
they both technically do. And remember, gold is, obviously wedding season. India is actually very, very big into gold. That's where it's used
Huge.
the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things, and it's unlike other commodities. Gold is not used up. Oil, when you use it, it's gone. Gold is used, but it can always be melted down and reused again and again and
Yeah.
again. So it's one of those it's a different type of commodity out there. And then even even when we're looking with kind of what's moving, what's not moving, um, about kind of where the volatility is. I mean, the VIX is basically doing nothing. Even cryptos right now, cryptos are
Nothing.
down just slightly. They're high. They're more poised for a short, but they're not necessarily consistent. They're down 0.36. Ethereum's down 0.6. Even looking at the meme stocks, they had a huge run again yesterday, but now
Yeah.
they've pulled back again on
Trying to
both of
figure
them. Are
that
going
one
to
out.
open up, and then bonds had a huge day yesterday as well, and now bonds have pulled back and have basically kind of erased all their gains from yesterday. So everything
Yeah.
is kind of resetting. It's almost like it's Monday. So I would say, kind of see what the morning trend is and follow it. But for the most part, it's a very flat market today.
Yeah. Quiet day in the market. It's a quiet Thursday. We'll see how how it ultimately plays out once the retail trader gets in there. But yeah, not a lot to be talking about. Um, but it's definitely something to be paying attention to, looking for some opportunity in there, or at least looking for setups as we go into the end of the week tomorrow. With that, any questions for Nadex? Email us customerservice@nadex.com. You have any questions for Brian? You can reach Brian, support@keeptradingsimple.com. Yeah, we not a lot to talk about. Economic numbers come out, durable goods being shaken off by the equities. You would expect to see that impacting the Dow a little bit more, but everything looking to be opening in the green. And unemployment numbers came in good. So that tight labor market joke, which we didn't even make a play on, because it's clearly not tight, as fewer and fewer people are making initial jobless claims. Companies are hiring again, so people are getting back to work. Brian and I will be back again tomorrow morning, so hopefully you can join us then. And until then, good luck in the markets, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.